America lost, women lost, immigrants lost, people of color lost, the environment lost. But the good thing, like in sports, is that in politics, there's always another election. There's another opportunity to win, to fight harder and to win. So on the night of the inauguration, I had the good fortune of sitting at dinner. And I was depressed, and I was sad, and I was trying to make sense of how we were going to turn that loss into a win. And there was the answer seated right to my left. That was the hope of better government, of thoughtful politicians who care, who support equality, who raise us up and not tear us down, sitting right next to me. And that was Tom Perriello. And that night when we were talking, I said, I want to talk to you about criminal justice reform. There's so much going on around the country where the right and the left come together and they try to make the criminal justice system more fair and more just. And Tom said, I'd love to hear about that. And his campaign followed up, and we spent an hour together this week with him listening to me talk about criminal justice reform. How about that for a governor, for a politician, somebody who actually listens, who wants to get it right, who cares? That's what we need. That's what we want. We want politicians who are smart, who are thoughtful, who listen to people, who care about issues, and who are going to turn the losses of November of 16 into the victory of November of 17. So in order to do that, this enthusiasm, the dancing, the spirit has to continue. It has to go from here and wave all the way through November of 17. So thank you all very much for coming and for showing your huge support. So with that, let me introduce our guest of honor, the next governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Tom Perriello.
Charlottesville with all of you. Let me thank, first of all, these incredible bands that have been entertaining us tonight. I'm going to say a special thank you to Brendan Gilmore from the Perriello Pickers, who I think is indicative of so many of you who just quit a nearly 2-decade career in the Foreign Service because of what he was seeing in our politics, to take a risk on this campaign because he knows this is a time we need all of our best players on the field to win this fight ahead. There's so many people here who've inspired me. I just want to thank Tim, not just for the education I got this week, but all the work he's doing to make our communities better, to support community policing. It was capturing, along with the work, Andy Block and so many other great Charlottesville experts are doing to try to make Virginia a bit more just. And that's really ultimately what this is about. It's just ensuring justice and opportunity for everybody in Virginia. A long way to go on that. I'll say a word or two more about it. Next to him, Jonathan Blank. I don't know if you know, but this guy is trying to take on the criminalization of poverty here in Virginia. We have laws on the books, even in this great progressive state, that basically make it a crime to be poor. People getting their licenses taken away, getting wages garnished and other things. I was talking to a great business leader here in Charlottesville a couple weeks ago, proud of paying his workers a living wage, but noting how few of them actually take home that living wage because of all the things that are garnished out of it because of these laws that are on the books. I see Cynthia here, who organized the buses up to the Women's March. I've never been so happy to have to get up at 4:30 in the morning as catching those buses up to Washington. I could spend all night talking about all of the great work so many of you are doing to help our brothers and sisters who are a bit more vulnerable than some of us who are in this room. And to me, that's what I've always taken with me from growing up in Charlottesville and growing up in the shadow of the Rotunda and of Monticello. It's what Virginia is about, and we have to be honest. It has always been the most aspirational state, but also has that reactionary side. We are a state that dared, with the Declaration of Independence, with Jefferson and Madison, to believe that all men could be created equal. And sometimes in those same individuals, we saw that terrible, ugly, sinful exclusion and dehumanization. But the good news is, as Tim was saying, and the reason I'm running for governor, is because progress is winning. Progress is winning even after the defeat that we had in November. And that was a game changer for me. Unfortunately, I've been places around the world where I've seen racial demagogues rise. And let there be no doubt, you don't have to read Michael Signer's book to know what a demagogue looks like, though you should read his book. I think that was Mike clapping. So we have this moment right now where that's going on, but there was nothing that made me more proud on that miserable night than knowing not only that Virginia defeated Donald Trump, but that Donald Trump did worse than any Republican in my lifetime in Virginia. And that's because progressive values are Virginia values. Progressives are a majority in Virginia. Progressives are the future of Virginia. And this election is not just about winning the governor's race, it's about redefining the landscape of Virginia politics, and more importantly, of reducing human suffering and increasing human flourishing for all of our neighbors, regardless of race or ethnicity or class or what zip code you were born in. That's the promise of Virginia. We do so much right here in Virginia. We've been blessed with some great leaders, some great Democratic governors, great community leaders. But right now we have an opportunity to move forward at a generational level and remove some of these legacy issues that have been pulling us back. We still have, just as an example, one of the lowest levels of what constitutes a felony in the country. Stealing a $200 in value counts as a felony here. And once you get that count, the public defender or the lawyer you're given, the reimbursement rate for indigent legal defense is capped at $375. I feel quite confident that there are some lawyers in this room that would get you about 10 minutes of their time. So you get these charges, then you get that kind of defense, and then you're caught in that cycle of poverty and of dehumanization. Tonight, we see from the White House, on our soil in Virginia, the launching of raids not against people who've committed crimes or are threatening violence, but in Alexandria and Annandale, they're sending in to go after undocumented workers and break up families. That's not going to happen in our Virginia. We are going to make sure that everyone is treated with basic dignity and basic rights. We want to believe in an inclusive Virginia that we continue to see, an inclusive economic growth. But we have to understand and be honest about challenges that we face, not just those we've had from the past, but those we continue to see. And we know right now, we see challenges of consolidation in our economy. We see the threat of automation coming. When Donald Trump talks about the manufacturing jobs going overseas, he forgets to mention that 85% of those manufacturing jobs have not gone overseas. They've ceased to exist because of computers and automation. We need to make sure that those jobs of the future are not just available to those people who already have privilege, but that we're making sure every kid has an opportunity to learn coding and learn computer sciences and get vocational and career and technical training. I'm standing between you and more music, so I don't want to say too much tonight. But let me say a couple of other things. This is a time for us to be bold. This is a time for us to be thinking about the next generation of ideas. And too often we're being offered ideas from the past. Just this week, as one example, you may have heard that I came out against the 2 pipelines being proposed. There's so many things about this that are going in the wrong direction. The 2 pipelines are going to cost $8.6 billion and create less than 75 permanent jobs. I think you could flip through the yellow pages. Some of you don't know what yellow pages are, but actually let me digress on that. I just had my picture taken by a young woman downstairs who said, "Oh, we studied you in middle school." It's great to be home. $8.6 billion spent not on weatherization of our housing and building stock that could unleash tons of jobs and value, not on solar and wind that could be taken to scale today, not even on refurbishing old infrastructure stock and getting a 2-way flow in the pipes that already exist. All of these would put more people to work for a longer period of time for less money and save people money. And that's what we need. That's the Virginia that people deserve. We've also put out a challenge that we're developing to our technology community on another issue I care deeply about. I want Virginia to be the first state, given that we are the cradle of American democracy, to reach 100% voter participation in our elections. We shouldn't, in 2017, basically be voting the same way we did in the 18th century, where on one day you get in your buggy and go down the cobblestone street to another place and cast your vote. We should be making it as easy as possible to have more people feel ownership. I really appreciate the leadership that Governor McAuliffe has shown in restoring people's voting rights after they've served their term. And I will be proud to continue that. But we also want to make sure that there are few people having those rights taken away in the first place, because we're doing more to address the school-to-prison pipeline. We're looking at these criminal legacy issues on the books, but looking as well at everybody's ability to vote. There are a whole lot of parents out there who, between the 2 of them, are working 3 jobs, have 4 soccer practices and a choir practice, and might appreciate the ability to vote early or vote online. These are problems we can solve. And I do think in an era where we see consolidation in the economy and automation, as I mentioned before, we have got to be willing to embrace the idea of radical localization in our energy production and food production to keep more value and jobs in our community. But we want more ideas, and we want those ideas from you. One thing you probably remember about me from my time in Congress is I'm not scared of a fight. I'm not scared to be bold, because that's what our times deserve. Bring us your best ideas. Bring us your solutions to these challenges we face, because Virginia is in a land of innovators. It's a land of people who are coming together for this idea of a new and inclusive Virginia, and it's exciting. But I also need your help. And by coming tonight, you've taken the first step in helping us win this campaign. I need you, before you leave, to make sure you're signing up to help with petitions so that we get on the ballot. It would be very bad if we don't get on the ballot. I need you to go home tonight and think about posting on Facebook or Twitter or whatever you use tonight about why you believe in this campaign and how you want to engage people all over the state in that process. I know things have changed from 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Facebook was the way to reach young people. Now it's the way to reach our seniors. So pick your social media and go for it, whichever one reaches the people that you know. But I do just want to end on a deadly serious note about how important this election is. We have seen in Virginia a ridiculously, radically rigged system in a 50-50 state that means that we have an extremely right-wing legislature. If we not only will the most important thing that I do as governor be vetoing those partisan gerrymandered lines and making sure we have a and I've been very clear, progressives should not be afraid of a level playing field. We have more people in Virginia. If we got 60% of the people that supported Hillary Clinton to show up this year, we would win these elections in a walk. And that brings me back to the point that I want to make tonight, is just beg you to understand how important state elections are. If we lose the governor's mansion this year, we could see everything we saw in North Carolina happen in one General Assembly session. Governor McAuliffe has shown the way on this, and I will continue in that path of spending most of my time vetoing the legislation that tries to limit a woman's right to choose, tries to put even more ridiculous gun laws on the books instead of having common sense gun reform. With a level playing field, we could already see the minimum wage increase that Virginians desperately need. We know that this is not just, yes, for the minimum wage. And I think it's important to understand that as a gender issue. Over 60% of minimum wage workers in Virginia are women. And it's not a coincidence. We feel better through structural sexism paying certain service sector jobs at a minimum wage because they're held by women. That's not. So, it's very, very important that we win this race this year. But if we do it right, if we do it by inspiring the Obama coalition together, we don't just win the governor's race. We could pick up 10, 12, 15, who knows how many House of Delegates seats all over the state. And if you have friends around the state, make sure they're thinking about running for office, because we need younger and more diverse candidates running in these local elections. It's important for getting people out. Part of what inspired me to run, and I'll end with this, was what I took as President Obama's message. I decided to run at that point, but he'd already been saying some version of this before his farewell in Chicago. He basically said to us, I'm taking the training wheels off. I built this coalition. Now you guys need to figure out how to turn it out and inspire it when I don't happen to be on the ballot. That's our challenge. And when I went up to the Women's March, it was great to see the size of our coalition. It was great to see how we've gotten better at the intersection of our issues. But the concerning point was how many people who cared enough to get on that bus and get on that metro, park at RFK, walk over to the Capitol, not even be able to fit inside the rally, and walk around the mall. How many of those women did not even know a governor's race was going on in Virginia this year? That is my main ask to you today. If you're involved in Indivisible or Women's March or whatever group you're involved in, make sure people understand that this year, the first chance to defeat Donald Trump is this election in Virginia. One of the best ways we can ensure a women's rights to choose and that immigrants are treated with dignity is this election in Virginia. But our best chance to ensure a clean energy economy and protect against climate change is this election in Virginia. And our chance to have common sense gun reform is this election here in Virginia. But our promise that we can have a better tomorrow that is worthy of Virginia's greatest aspirations is this election here in Virginia. Get engaged. I hope you will help us win, and win in June, win in November, and more importantly, win for the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you very much.